We're here in Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm really super shiny right now. But we're here with Mohammed Langston. We got Hendrix of Branding, Professor Wilson, Mohammed Langston, who we're going to actually dive deep in. Interesting individual, my man, from the D. The D standing for?
Detroit!
Detroit!
What up, though? Langston Hues. Right now we're in Jakarta, Indonesia, by way of Detroit, Cali, England.
London,
and
Manchester.
Yeah.
Manchester, London. But what's funny is we were talking to this girl downstairs, and I was like, my man speaks Bahasa. So we're going to get into the uniqueness of this individual, expat, living here in Southeast Asia from the D. And I said, my man's from the D. Do you know where Detroit's at? They're like, what? What's Detroit? I know, Detroit, Michigan. You don't know Detroit, Michigan? And like, oh, Detroit, Mexican? I was like, yeah, Detroit, Mexican.
Okay, Mexican.
So it was really, really interesting. But let's get into this, man. We have a few questions for you. Professor Wilson and I have been spending a lot of time in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
This is my second time in Indonesia this year. It's what, your first, second time this year? You're here every year.
Southeast Asia, I don't know, it's 5th time this year.
Yeah, so we're here a lot. But what separates this dude from us is that he lives here. So we have a few questions. Let me jump in with the first one, and then Professor Wilson will take it from there. There's been a lot of talk, right, about the Muslim millennials in general, Generation Z. What do you think, like, Muslims or even just Westerners in Europe, America, can take from the Southeast? Because you also lived in Malaysia, right?
Yes, yes.
The Malaysia, Southeast Asian, Indonesian experience. As an expat, as an African American, like, what do you think they could take from your experience living here?
Westerners in general or Muslims?
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well,
just you're the local here, man. You speak Bahasa. The guy speaks Bahasa. Before you answer that, go ahead and bust them something right now in Bahasa.
Yeah. Kalau menurut saya dan tinggal di sini dan mungkin kalian orang berat, orang asing datang ke sini, pasti bisa kelihatan yang beda banget. So I feel like, or to sum up, like, I feel like as a Black American from Detroit, from Michigan, and living in Indonesia, I think it has broadened my perspective. It's also made the world larger than what I knew. I've been to over 30 countries actually, but this is like one of the very few I actually settled in. So, and for the amount of time I've been here, which is now over 3 years, so I feel like living here and then being around the world, and this is not a diss to Indonesia, but it really allowed me to understand what it means to be American and the freedom and the values that we have in America. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong in Indonesia.
Yeah.
There's also a way of life here that's very comfortable. That's why I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? So,
and this interesting fact, which I didn't know, is that Indonesia has the 4th largest population in the world. China, India, America, then Indonesia.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. When you think about Islam, people think of it as an Arab religion. In America, you may think of it as an African American religion. But if you really want to crunch the numbers, you start thinking about South Asia, India, Pakistan. You think of Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, just Indonesia and India there. It sort of becomes an Asian religion, which is very interesting. A lot of people don't know. I just wanted to throw that fact in there, but go ahead, go with what we were saying.
No, that's fresh, because those are some of the things I noticed too. Like, even if I think about the number of Bahasa-Indonesian speakers in the world, like Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, and some people in Singapore, right? Bahasa speakers, I should say, because it's a little different, but it's virtually similar. It's similar, but it's virtually the same, right? So, and then even Jakarta, Indonesia is like the 2nd largest metropolis in the world. So it's just so many cool things you discover. Like, people praise and they pride Obama. Obama spent his like childhood in Indonesia.
Right. You can there's a statue of him, right?
Yeah. His old elementary school is still here.
So the statue, is it the small boy Obama, or is it the man?
The boy Obama. Yeah, the Obama who was here. Yeah,
that's cool.
Barry, when he was still Barry.
Barry, my man Barry. What up, Barry?
Yeah, man. He was just here a few months ago, kicking it with the president too. So
yeah, to bring you back home. So, in terms of what do you think they can take from your experience being here in Southeast Asia as an expat living here, what do you think millennials, Gen Z, you have the digital nomads, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them operate out of Bali. So what do you think from your experience here could you present to them that they probably wouldn't know of?
Yeah.
That's a really good point though, about in terms of just you realize how American you are.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that and then go on more?
Yeah, you I think quite often we take these number of advantages and amenities we have in the US for advantage, like a federal Pell Grant. Like,
well, you take it for granted.
Yes, for granted.
Yeah.
A number of scholarships, even like the minimum wage that people are receiving, or even like a clean street. It may not be your street. Your street may have a pothole on it. But the majority of the city, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a number of things, right? Being able to get food still with some sort of program if you don't have the income to do so, you know what I'm saying? So it's a number of things like that. But in regards to coming over to other countries outside of your comfort zone, such as Indonesia or Singapore, Malaysia, you know, and Singapore is actually more developed, but it was still outside of my comfort zone. I felt like it's sort of like a theme park. No disrespect to Singapore, just not my cup of tea. But you're going to see how other people are maneuvering and how people are living their life and the type of cultures they come from. Like even in Indonesia alone, bro, there's a number of cultures here in Indonesia and dialects as well. You know what I mean? I may know just like a speck in the ocean of the dialects that are here. And so people even within Indonesia, there's a great array of diversity of black people from Ambon, Flores, Papua. You know
what are these? Are these different provinces or cities or states?
Correct. Yeah, they're different islands and regions. They just happen to be on different islands, but they're different regions, right? You have like a huge indigenous Chinese population here, you know. You also have a huge indigenous Arab population here, which are from the very roots of the people who brought Islam over to Indonesia from Yemen, from the Hadramaut, from Tarim, the Habaya. The list goes on. So it's just so many things you can learn just being here.
And what do you think specifically, like millennials and Gen Zs, the people who, according to segmentation, right, pride themselves on experiences, don't want to own anything, like what do you think if they were to come here they would experience or they would like or dislike?
I think a lot of things that they would like is, and the thing is, sort of, it depends, right? Because these are contingent upon where they're coming from. You know, so there's some millennials in Karachi right now, and they may not have the same...
Pakistan.
Yeah, Karachi, Pakistan right now. And they might not have the same sort of discomforts that we may have coming from, like, the U.S. Yeah. I can't speak on the English experience, but...
Me either.
I think England is sort of a third world anyway. But so for me as an American coming here, I was like, without the guarantee, I feel like a lot of these nations in Southeast Asia, they don't always have a guarantee. They're always, not always, but quite often I find that they're afraid to be blunt and directly to the point. Always beating around the bush.
That's the way.
Growing up in that culture, that may not be a bad thing, but coming from a different experience and shifting to that, it's sort of like, you know. But
it's taught you probably to navigate and understand people better.
Yeah, it teaches you a lot.
Yeah,
it definitely teaches.
I want to come back to that, but I was thinking, like, you know, I speak to a lot of advertising people, different companies, agencies, and stuff. And when you see slide decks or you read the news headlines in the UK or the US, they talk about Muslim millennials and them being this massive group of people who have these shared values. Do you buy into that diagnosis? Do you think there is such a thing as a Muslim millennial?
I'm sure there are millennials that happen to be Muslim.
Okay.
But I definitely know that you cannot paint them with a broad stroke and assume that they have the same interests, ideas, and social or economic concerns.
So I can't, because you've been to the 30 countries, right? So if I was to pin you down, like, you know, Indonesia, as you said, 260 million population, largest Muslim population in the world, 17,500 islands and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so when you see these articles or or things, you know, people talking about it, they talk about these people, these kind of selfie-taking Instagram people that like halal food and wear modest fashion and listen to nasheeds and that's the same in London as it is in Paris, in New York, in Jakarta, in Kuala Lumpur. Do you see that, or do you think it's something else? Or
I can witness that. You know, you can see trends like that as well.
Because you're the guy that did the book as well on modest fashion.
Correct.
Right. So you went around photographing like hijabis all over the world with different styles and flexes.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. The thing is, you're not going to get that out of one article. If you want to know that sort of like pinpoint data, you're going to have to go to the experts to receive that sort of information. You're not going to be like, I read the article, so everybody in Indonesia, they love selfies. Nah, it's not going to work like that.
Yeah.
I can call up 20 to 200 people right now that never wants to take a selfie, and they're Indonesian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though there's a claim that the selfie stick was invented in Indonesia, right? So it's interesting, man. Like, you know, you need to really go to the experts, or you need to get down and dirty yourself.
Yeah.
Spend the years there to discover what people are really enjoying. So we talk about this broad stroke of millennials, and they're all liking this and that. What about the millennial who is wearing the modest fashion, but she just threw down a ham sandwich? You know what I'm saying?
And you saw that on your travels, right?
Yeah, because human beings are like humans, you know what I mean?
So, fashion being one of my things, my man's multifaceted. In a past life, you were a photographer, like deep into modest fashion. Probably one of the first photographers in that space, right?
Correct.
You did that book. Speak on it a little bit.
So I released Modest Street Fashion in 2015. I followed up that sort of venture with another book called Fashion Hijab Jalanan, which was released specifically in Malaysia. And Modest Street Fashion, a worldwide project over 30 countries documenting hijab fashion all over the world, some of the greatest influencers as well as their followers that carry the trend and that carry the influencers, and compile that into a book, sort of like a ethnography, you can say.
What trends, how can I ask this? What trends did you pick up during that world tour? And what trends do you see and where do you think they're going?
Yeah. What I'll say is this. I felt that there was not a large disconnect of the modest fashion scene with what we would say is the sort of secular fashion scene, right?
Or the mainstream fashion.
Mainstream, yeah. The mainstream.
So would you say that there was imitation, or do you think it was the same thing, just with a little cloth on your head? Like, what are you trying to say? Just less skin?
I can't dismiss it with the little cloth, but I could see.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was like
a lot of, no.
I was just trying to be like tongue in cheek, but
no, that was fine. That was fine. What I'm saying is, like, I can't say that their style was just the same thing, but then a scarf was applied, which some people can say. That's fine, but
I wouldn't say that. And the reason why I wouldn't is because I think the women of modest fashion they have masterfully got down the concept of layering.
Yeah.
No one kills layering like I think the women of modest fashion.
And that's why a lot of people who are into fashion, they love fall and winter.
Yeah.
Because you can do the most.
You do the
layer,
really
do like put your craft in the forefront. But so
okay, so yeah, let me have you stick on it. What trends did you see at the time, and where do you see these trends going?
So a lot of the trends I saw was what was occurring in mainstream fashion as well.
Okay.
And then there's the attributes and details that you can see, and there's numerous ones. We wouldn't be able to cover it all in this one vlog.
Yeah.
But it's hard to really say where the trends are going if they haven't already went there. And now we're at a new space, right? Now we're seeing, a mainstream company, Nike, releasing the Pro Hijab with the homegirl Ittihaj Muhammad. Congratulations.
What up, Ittihaj?
What up, Ittihaj? Congratulations.
Releasing like that, and of course Adidas next, Reebok's next.
No, everyone.
What is it? Under Armour, right?
Yeah, Uniqlo, everyone.
Yeah, they're all.
Should I say about the domain name?
Go ahead.
Do you know who owns AdidasHijab.com? Me.
This guy right here. Someone.
If you want that domain, Adidas, then hit me up, okay?
Cyber squatting.
Somebody stole my domain.
But I got another question. But did you want to jump in there and throw in?
Just like your book. Are there any people that you photographed that the viewers might recognize who they were?
Yeah, of course.
So drop some names.
Ittihaj Muhammad, Dina Tokyo, Asia.
Asia out of Kuwait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aruba, Hijab Hills. There's a bunch, bro. There's a bunch. There's like over 400 outfits in Volume 1. And that's not even, that's just what we released so far.
Cool.
You got any?
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, well, I got some
actually,
questions.
you want to stick on fashion or you want to move on? Like,
no, I wanted to ask my man about something, but you go ahead.
Because, you know, I mean, one of the things I was thinking, like, you know, we're doing some research and some of the stats are saying that, you know, whether that's true or not, but like, what they call athleisure or athletic leisure, like yoga pants and stuff, that was going to be a massive boom industry, and it's started to slow down, and some people saying peaks, and it's being replaced by retro's made a comeback, right?
Yes.
Like Adidas Originals, Pharrell's been instrumental in that, Stan Smiths, Shell Toes, all of that kind of stuff. Now, the reason I'm asking you is because you're this yoga.
Yeah.
What would your title be?
Namaste.
So my man is also, would it be correct to say you're a yogi?
No, that's not. I mean, some people say that's correct, but no, that's not correct. That's not correct.
Okay, Yogi, go ahead. So go ahead.
but sorry, what do you like the yoga? Like, you're an instructor. You're like, you live on a, like, where do you, like, tell people?
Yeah, I'm a yoga guru, amongst many things. I'm joking about guru. I am a yoga instructor, and I teach people yoga.
Yogurt. He's a yogurt instructor.
Yogurt. You like yoga?
He's a yogi bear. So yoga's big to you, and you're obviously around a lot of people that are practicing, and you're around streetwear and fashion. And I just wondered if what they were seeing in kind of like North America and Europe in terms of people, this athleisure thing petering out in Southeast Asia, was it ever a thing? Like how do people dress? Do they see things as old school athleisure, or do they have like different fashion sensibilities?
It's going to always be a thing, and it's going to remain the same.
Okay.
Compared to mainstream fashion. So right now what we see in mainstream fashion is that the baggy stuff is coming back.
Yeah.
We witnessed in the 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crisscross and whoever you name it, right? A lot of that's coming back. But since this is a wear with a purpose beyond fashion, it's never going to phase out. There might be the numbers dropping down for the individuals who are not so interested in it, and they were just doing it because they saw Kylie Jenner or someone wearing, you know, the latest leggings from the yoga camp or something.
Yeah.
But one thing you also must keep in number on why this will grow is because there's over 60. I'm gonna butcher this. There is.
We'll put some caption here to correct them.
Overdub.
I'm gonna say it in two ways.
The real.
Your mouth is gonna say 60,000, but then you'll hear my like 40,000.
No. I was gonna say this. I want to say, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. I want to say there's about 47 million people doing yoga in America alone.
You know what's so funny?
But
can I just say something? I think about yoga. If you Google yoga and hit the images button, you know what you find?
What?
It's just all white women.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's super funny.
You know what? Thank God he was gonna have a husband. I was like, normally when someone says, you know, when you Google this and images, you know, you was like, thank you, Mohammed.
No, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And you say namaste, all that, and it's like when you hit the images button, I saw that, I go, wow, this interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you see that in your camp or in your school, or now that you're in that world, like, I don't know, just talk about that. And
yeah, I can talk about that. So doing yoga in Indonesia, I mostly see Indonesians.
Okay.
But when I'm looking at like yoga in America and I hit the images, well, I think
you just hit yoga.
Yeah, exactly.
Yoga search.
Yeah. So the thing is this, yoga got really popular around the world after it made its way to the US. Like most things, right? Once they're popping in the US, they usually take off everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There might be things popping in Korea, but you know, it's just gonna, you know,
K-pop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might trickle to a few households in the U.S.
Yeah.
But it might have a huge, what do you call it, impact on Indonesia.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
all of Southeast Asia
or Asia.
So when things are popping in the U.S., it's a no game.
Yeah.
You know. So there is a huge diversity with yoga. If you look for it, like I'm looking at the hashtags, I'm looking at Black Girl Yoga, I'm looking at Black Men's Yoga, I'm looking at Hood Yoga.
Hood Yoga?
Yeah, bro.
That's tight.
Even there's a project called Yoga in Africa Project.
Hard.
Super fresh.
That's hard.
Over 18 countries. Yeah, just check it out. I think 13 countries. Sorry, 13 countries. But check it out. It's fresh. Yeah.
He's also a rapper
Yo.
and an actor. And does it in Bahasa.
Yes.
So, okay, go ahead. First, you're going to bust a little rhyme that you have in Bahasa. You're just going to have to bleep it out and explain. And then also, like, how'd you get into that? Like, first off, how'd you pick it up? Mm-hmm. And then how'd you become an actor and rapper that actually gets on mainstream TV in Indonesia, the 4th most populated country in the world, from the D, what up, Detroit?
Detroit!
And you're like on TV, you're on mainstream.
Yeah.
How'd that all how'd you get into Bahasa?
Let him spit first.
No, how'd you pick up the Bahasa, and then how'd that all come about?
So which one first?
Spit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what you meant. I thought you were going to go.
Style aku sebagai odua, sa aku datang tarik nafas semua, beda benua, tiba di Jakarta, butuh bandara karena namaku mengudara. Aku hitam manis, tapi bukan ketchup. Orang mau tiru, but they cannot catch up. Ha, jangan cari gara-gara dari Uncle Sam, tapi kita semua saudara. Bagai alam Indonesia, aku paling asri karena dari AS datang ke RI.
Detroit!
That's the D, baby. That's the D, baby.
Baby!
Built for tough. No.
So how'd you get into that? Like, how'd you pick up Bahasa? And then how'd you? When you said spit, I thought you were saying like, stop cutting him off. Like, let him talk. But my bad.
He thinks that's his nickname. Like, it's like you know, he's a pit bull. It's like spit, hey, spit.
Man's not hard.
So yeah, like
man's not.
Yeah. How'd you pick it up?
Man's not hot.
I picked it up.
I didn't even pick that up till now. Okay.
So I was invited to start acting. Even the entire.
Wait. So when you started acting, did you already know Bahasa?
No, I didn't know Bahasa. I learned it from the script.
When you got the gig.
Yeah.
What?
I learned it
What?
I mean, at that stage, I knew
impressive,
about like some basic like Bahasa.
The street Bahasa.
Nah, not even straight, bro. It was like
hanging out with the folks.
Survival.
I just some like.
But how did you get the gig? Would you like I thought they would have asked you to speak and then you get this. Did you like?
This is the gig though. So my first role here was I'm gonna play this hip hop dude from Detroit.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna be learning Bahasa in the script, in the scenario.
How did you wrangle that?
Yeah, you know.
What's the scenario?
Here
we go.
That's Detroit magic. So when I have the script,
This is a new school, right?
Yep.
I'm literally going through the script. I'm asking some questions. I'm memorizing the script so I can make sure I don't forget my lines. I'm also using Google Translate, and I'm also trying to make sure I understand exactly what the words are saying, so I can get the right
you're
expressions.
literally learning on the job.
Yes, on the job.
You should get sponsored by Google, man. Google Translate.
Google Translate.
Google Translate. You made me an actor, son. But no, really, just the scenario, the script. Sorry, scenario. Yeah. And
we got disruption leaving school. I gotta get on my dress. I got on the dragon. Sorry. That was Buster.
I got into that, and
okay, so you read the script, you learn on the job. So they say, okay, yeah, cool, you got it.
Yeah.
Were you surprised when you got the job?
They invited me for the casting. So when I came to do the casting,
wait, how did you? Were you hanging out with people in the industry already, or?
Yeah, for sure. I'm already brushing shoulders.
How did you get involved with industry people? You don't just land in Is it because you're American? Is it because you're African American? Is it because of the modest fashion? Like, how do you get that social capital to be rubbing shoulders with people of that status? Like, how does that work?
One of the first people I came here to engage any sort of like journey with is one of the youngest and most successful designers in Indonesia. So I was invited here.
Because of the modest fashion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was invited to Indonesia by her. That's not why I moved here. But that was my first 3 days here.
Okay.
That was my first 3 days here. And then we had some events and, you know, all these other things and going here and there. And so that was only 3 days. One event I was at, the sponsor of that event invited me to come back to Indonesia to collaborate with them for 6 months when I went back to the US.
Oh, okay. So you left.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, come back.
Yeah. This one company is one brand.
But collaborate in what sense?
Brand development, marketing.
Interesting.
And then I was working very closely with
Interesting. Okay.
one of their brand ambassadors. And that's how I got into... I have a book before Modest Street Fashion that I collaborated on, but it's not my book. But I've done
what was
all
it
the
about?
photos. About yoga.
About yoga?
It was in 2014.
Oh.
So that was the first time I actually had my real brush with yoga. And I'm actually in Pilates actually. And I was going to the training and everything, and I was capturing this like icon of like Pilates here in Indonesia.
Okay, so you come back, and then so you're rubbing shoulders, and then all of a sudden, one day you're hanging out like, hey man, why don't you become an actor? Like, does it happen like that? Or
I was in Malaysia when they hit me up. One of the girls from the network, she contacted me on WhatsApp. Like,
so another tidbit of how they do business here in Southeast Asia. Contracts, most important documents you'll ever get in your life in this area will be through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like, it's super weird. Like, email, it's like email. Like, I'm not sending you through email. I'm going to WhatsApp you. So you give people a business card, like, yeah, send me the proposal. They'll like WhatsApp you the proposal. But that's just a little tidbit to know.
Say, Ministry of Tourism Indonesia, WhatsApp group. Like, you know, like, how are we going to like market Indonesia as a nation brand to increase the tourism by several million?
It's a WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's real.
Anyway,
And this is a legitimate, you know, order that she received from her higher ups.
Because it had an emoji in it.
Like, it was a black hands emoji, like, what's up? And I'm like, yo, what's up? Okay. I mean, I was in Malaysia at the time.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know. I was also working in Malaysia.
Which is next door, just across the water. Okay.
For about 7 months. So I would be back and forth. But I'd finished collaborating with that brand that initially brought me here, or asked me to come here. And I was only like a week or 2 weeks from going back to the US.
Whoa.
And then,
so this came through, man.
yeah,
right,
they contacted me because I had some other stuff lined up in the US. But when they said acting, and I was like,
yeah, you're like,
yo. You know, actually there was this thing I was supposed to do. Like, we did this thing when I was little for All That. For
What's
Nickelodeon,
that?
All That.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, All That.
Shit, okay.
Yeah, and it was cool. The people, they liked it. And I was on the phone with them in California. I was in Detroit.
So you're like already an aspiring actor back home?
No, not really.
Okay,
Not really. But I had these
but
aspirations.
you dabbled in it back home. Did you dabble in rapping and acting back home? Would that be fair to say?
It's fair to say that I definitely dabbled in rapping.
Okay.
From like the age of 5 or 4.
Okay.
And if you're talking about acting, maybe it's just for like music videos or some YouTubes or something.
Got it.
I mean?
Okay. So then you get the gig, you learn on the job. So how does that go? How do you start rapping then? Like
rapping here?
Yeah, like
rapping here.
So you get to a proficient level, and then you're just like, let me just go full board.
So he's a black man. Black man are gonna rap. Like, easier.
Yeah. Which actually, go ahead, answer that, and I just have another.
So I went into rapping here right away with like the top hip hop artists here.
Wow.
The top hip hop artists and
let me just ask my question now then.
The top rap artists here, sorry.
Okay. Would you say that being African American, being American, that social capital allowed you to rub shoulders immediately because of those those pieces of your identity? Do you think? Because that's like,
yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to say that, because the thing is, if you're talking about the role I played in this hit sitcom, they could have like some, you know, Jamaican played, or someone from like Cameroon or any other African nation, right? But they wanted something a little bit
that speaks Bahasa. Someone who speaks Bahasa.
Speaks language, right?
They could have got some Javanese guy to curl his hair, like, you know, just like buff him up a little bit.
Yeah, they got afros here. They got that afros here. Yeah, they could have had. Yeah, they could have had someone in front, but
yeah.
So you would say that? That would be fair to say.
Yeah, for sure.
So would you say that as an advice to any African Americans who want to go into make their dream of being an actor or rapper professionally, that to come to Indonesia would be a viable option for them if they're willing to take on the different lifestyle and give up some of the amenities? Would you recommend that, or what would
I would say that's possible in most places in the world, but definitely here if you want to come and tour here. Big Sean was here. Just 2 months ago.
Okay.
A number of great acts were here. 50 Cent was here before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's definitely like one of the things I want to piece together is I've been working on something about exporting your talent.
What do you mean by that?
Like what I'm doing. I have talents in, you know, a number of things, and I'm bringing it overseas. A lot of times people are outsourcing, right? Or they're thinking they can only do something within
What do you mean people are outsourcing? Like you got to
They may outsource for maybe a company might outsource for some skills.
Okay.
But what about sending your skills somewhere? You know what I mean? So a lot of times back in the day before Google, people didn't know that you could hoop somewhere else. You could play basketball in France. In Spain, in Brazil,
in China, in Greece,
and it might be
and
easier.
Now in Indonesia.
Man.
You know, I had my boy. He came through from New Jersey, and he started hooping here. He was MVP, Rookie of the Year.
Wow!
And then he dipped out. Then he came back and won another championship, another MVP, and now he's back in the States just proposed to his girls.
Actually, you're right, because I went to university in Scotland, and I was pretty much like. And when I was at uni, I mean, I was a rock kid, a bass player, and then I got into hip hop, and then they needed a black guy to rap in a rock band, so I'm the black guy. So I started to MC, and then I ended up doing the vocals for Grand Theft Auto and writing the songs and rapping. And I guess it's because I was like the only black rapping guy in Dundee or Scotland or something, and that's why like, it's got to be the black guy because rappers are black guys. and so, but had I been in like New York, I wouldn't have got put on because I'm in a city with like, well, we know who's in New York, right? So, but I want to ask one thing that's linked, right? So we know that your voice and your language proficiency has been really important, and actually there's a social capital linked to being able to speak English, right? Whether that's, I think, English or American English. But what about
American English? Oh, well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I sneezed.
Spit. So I'm interested in Indonesians, right? Because also, or like Southeast Asians, because we were in Malaysia recently. And there were like a couple of MCs, and one MC had an American accent, was Malay but had an American accent, as in like when they spoke everyday English, right? Do you like Indonesians or Malaysians or whoever who have like non-local accents? Do they have like an English accent or an American accent when they speak English? Do they have a higher social capital? Do locals look at them differently and think, wow, you're more eloquent, or does that give them higher status, or do they think you're a sellout or a coconut, or do you know what I mean?
Coconut?
Or banana. In China, we do banana, right?
Who's a sellout or coconut?
No, okay, because like, I remember when I was at uni in the 90s, when I was in my MBA.
No, so so you're saying that if an Indonesian had an American accent, would they be considered a coconut?
No, they're going to have some social status.
Okay.
Because chances are they went to study abroad,
or they have money. They went to an international school, private school,
and chances are, yes,
they lived in America.
Because it works both ways. Because it can either raise you or it could lower you. Because it depends on your clique, right? Because some people could be like, you don't have a local twang when you speak English, even though English is not your native language. So you're a sellout, basically. Like coconut is like, brown on the outside, white on the inside. And as I learned, like, Yeah, or when I was like, I had a friend from Taiwan, Debbie, hi, and in the 90s, like she's from Taiwan, right, and she got called a banana.
Okay, that's funny.
Yellow on the outside, white on the inside.
Yeah.
I'd never heard. I was like,
where did she get called a banana? In a Western country or back in Thailand?
Back home by the Chinese, right? Because
and the Chinese in Thailand.
Debbie, I'm really sorry. She had like a
Taiwan.
She got like a foreign boyfriend basically.
Oh,
right?
in Taiwan, not Thailand. Okay.
Yeah, Taiwan.
Yeah.
She had so they were like, you're a sellout basically because you're yellow on the outside and white on the inside.
Well, that's different. Now you're getting into like
No,
relationships
but that's right.
and family and
but the thing
children.
I'd never heard of like I'd heard of coconut, right?
Yeah.
But like when I first said like they called you banana, my instinct was like, that's racist. Coconut, I didn't
but it was racist.
yeah, but so was coconut, but it never I never felt, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, going back to the point, because we were just talking about accents, not relationships, right? But some people don't necessarily take to the fact that a local develops a different accent, because then that pushes them out of the community, right? It either works for you or doesn't. That was the thing I was just trying to gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm done.
Okay.
I haven't witnessed that in Indonesia. I haven't witnessed that in Indonesia.
Cool.
But you got anything else? Or? I'm pretty.
One last thing, because we've come over here and like we're speaking at conferences and stuff. And one thing that I always do is I like to just zone in and watch like just any sort of local television for a few days just to get the pulse. I don't know what they're saying. I can't speak Bahasa, right? But the thing that I'm always impressed about Indonesia is that kind of that wild side. Like I saw like some kind of entertainment shows where you've got like heavy metal guitars.
Yeah.
And then you've got hijabis like come and washing, and then like not just like one, it'd be like an audience of hijabis, and it'll be like someone that's dressed like some kind of vampire goth, but you see like heavy metal and guitars and vampires and goth, and the call to prayer, it still comes like actually I remember like a few years ago I was in Jakarta, and like I heard Guns N' Roses sound checking Welcome to the Jungle, and then the adhan went off and they stopped. And then they carried on. And I was like, I've never seen that in a Muslim country before. And it was kind of like, it was weird but cool because it was honest. Because normally there's this duality, I call it a dual cool, right? Which is like your face in front of your family or your community, and then your face in front of your crew.
What does W.E.B. Du Bois call it? He calls it double consciousness.
Oh, the Americans say Du Bois, don't
they? We say Du Bois.
Du Bois.
Yeah, Du Bois. He calls it double consciousness, where you have this. It's a little bit of a hypocrisy. But you were saying that it was authentic, right? It was just.
Was it say "kotu to jahiliya mu'akkada" in like Arabic, like complicated?
Now someone else can speak a language.
I'm gonna tell you.
Complicated ignorance. No, but they seem real and honest in Indonesia. That's the thing I was trying to say.
You want to know what you witness? Human beings who happen to be Muslim.
Okay.
And they come in all shapes and sizes. They come praising their Lord, maybe every day, with still appreciation for fine music. You know what I'm saying?
So what music do you like then?
I like jazz, blues, rock,
he's from
mix it up, chop it to make the hip hop.
It was from Motown, man.
Yeah, I love hip hop, man. I love soulful jazz. I like everything almost.
Or top,
even country. I mean, I can't really like pinpoint this country album or that country album. I like something a local music known as dangdut. And they think I'm crazy.
Like what is that? That's
a local genre.
Folk music.
Exactly. It's like local folk music.
Exactly. What do they talk about? Like what are the topics that they talk about?
Oh, the topics are wild, bro. They talk about like, they're like, brother, do you want to, and it's a woman singing, brother, do you want to choose the virgin or the divorcee?
Yeah, for real?
Yeah. So it's like, you want to choose a woman who's already divorced, or you want to choose the virgin?
Interesting. Because you think of country, so you think country, and it's sad, right? I broke up with my girl.
There's something like that.
My dog, and now I'm stuck by myself. And
that's not country. That's blues, man.
Oh, I mean, it could be. So it's like for dangdut. What is it?
Dangdut.
Like, so what would it be? What would you say the main themes would be? Would it be like that?
A lot of things are like that,
family stuff,
or also like a hurt heart,
heartbreak.
But a lot of things are like that. Like
right
now, I'm so sexy. Do you see me? Like, look over here.
I'm too sexy.
Yeah,
sure.
It's crazy.
I see. But you got. I want you to leave them with a nice little another Bahasa rap that you can drop, and then yeah, just go ahead, drop it, man, drop it, and we'll drop it like it's hot.
Man, another Bahasa rap.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, you drop it in English, man. You already dropped so much Bahasa or what?
Man, you trying to put me on the spot like that. Is this in focus? Let's see. Yo, it's Langston Hues, and I'm just being honest. Got my main man, John Muhammad. We all spitting verbal vomit. That goodness for your soul, like that soul food. Chicken. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway,
yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, watching our man Muhammad Langston. Got the Hendrix of Branding, Muhammad Heraldez, signing out from Jakarta, Indonesia. Peace.
Peace. In the southeast.